Well, here to discuss is arguably the most outspoken anti-Trump Republican in the House, Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Also with us, Texas Republican congressional candidate Michael Wood. He is an outspoken Trump critic who has been endorsed by Kinzinger's PAC. Thank you both for coming on. Congressman Kinzinger, I'm going to start with you in this conversation. Just if you would lay it out for us, how did you first connect with Michael? Why did your PAC decide to support him?
Well, it's pretty easy. So, I was paying attention to the race and I saw this, person that really boldly just told the truth, that was rejecting conspiracies, that said what needed to be said, which is we live in a fantastic country. Frankly, the history of this party is strong, but we've been astray. We've gone off the rails, and our allegiance should be to a country and not to a man. And when I saw that, I just, I got a hold of him and we had a good conversation. I saw that he was truly genuine. And I made that decision to endorse him. It was an easy decision because all you have to do really to be a country first candidate is just say the truth and don't use conspiracy or fear. And I'll tell you, it's a recipe that can win elections sometimes using conspiracy and fear. But like we saw on January 6th, it can ultimately destroy democracies.
It can win elections. It could also raise a lot of money. I mean, if you look at this, you have called out, let's look at some of them. Senator Ron Johnson, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene for lying, spreading dangerous conspiracies. You said Congressman Gates needs to resign. But Congressman Kinzinger, the Trump wing has raised hundreds of millions of dollars just since the November election. Congresswoman Greene raised over $3 million in her first 3 months in office. Does this signal to you that the Trump wing of the party is now the foundation of the party?
Well, it signals to me that they certainly have the, momentum. Whenever you have a former president, especially a person like Donald Trump, with the support he has, you're going to raise a lot of money, especially when you use fear, especially when you put out tweets that say things like the Democrats are going to destroy everybody and destroy this country, and you'll get $20 because you're convincing people that that's the truth. But the reality is different. And so I think it's worth fighting for. That's why I think maybe it feels like a David and Goliath fight with, country first versus the Donald Trump thing. But I'll tell you, over time, we know who won that battle. And I think Americans are waking up to the fact that, look, democracies require leaders that are going to tell the truth and aren't going to reflect back their darkest fears to them in order to simply get elected for whatever power you think you have.
So, Michael, as you're seeing all this play out, does it concern you about your chances of winning, seeing how much momentum, as Congressman Kinzinger put it, and backing, frankly, the Trump wing has?
Yeah, well, I got into this race thinking that there was about 30% of the Republican Party that was ready to move past this man, that was ready to reject conspiracy theories and QAnon and violence. And I think that number is growing every day. I think that a lot of times if you just explain to Republicans across this country that we've lost the White House, we've lost the House of Representatives, we've lost the Senate, and that we're going to be a minority party for a generation if we don't move past Donald Trump, that really, helps people see where we're coming from. And I think that every day that passes with more and more people that stand up, it increases our chances of eventually winning this fight for the soul of our party.
What makes you think you're getting more people on board with you, though? Do you have any evidence of that? Is it just anecdotal? What makes you think that you are gaining momentum in the anti-Trump movement?
Well, since I jumped into this race, I've been overwhelmed with the amount of support that I've received from across the district, across the state, and across the country. And I've been talking to voters across the district, and I have more and more people who come up to me afterwards, after these events, and they say, thank you for finally saying what so many of us have been thinking. And, one of the problems with American life right now is it's so easy to fit into sort of a news silo where you only hear a little bit of the information. And I think that more and more people are starting to hear things that maybe they don't hear from the news networks they usually watch, that the election wasn't stolen, that the president was directly responsible for the insurrection on January 6th. There's no question that this is an uphill fight and that this is a big endeavor that people like Congressman Kinzinger have undertaken. But I think that we're starting to see signs of progress.
And in some of this, like those who believe that the election was stolen, even though that is not true, Congressman Kinzinger, it's more of an emotional thing. It's not even fact-based. You can tell them, no, here are all the facts, but it's an emotional thing. And I'm wondering, from you being involved in politics and being on the front lines of this fight and having the PAC, how will you and your PAC make a dent in that movement?
Well, so this is the key. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. It was really eye-opening. They said to me, well, okay, I got all these facts you're saying about the election wasn't stolen, but I just refuse to believe that more people had voted for Biden. At that point, you can't argue with that. What we know, though, is if you project yourself 10 years into the future, we know what the history books are going to say. We know what people are going to believe. There's no way this misinformation, this lie continues. So the question is, how quickly can we advance that timeline? And with people like Michael Wood standing up, I think he's going to win. But even just him taking that fight to stand up, to come on shows like CNN, to talk to his local folks too, and tell the truth is what's making the difference. The reality is, if you look and you say, man, it's such a big tidal wave we have to fight, so I'm not going to fight, then you'll never take down that tidal wave. You have to start somewhere. And the reaction we've gotten to the Country First movement and the reaction that Michael Wood has gotten just in him telling the truth shows me that timeline to when people are going to wake up and see that is advancing quickly. And I hope it gets here very soon, because there's real damage that's going to be done to the party and to the country if it doesn't.
I want to ask you before you go, Michael, Congressman Kinzinger was one of 8 Republicans who voted to pass universal background checks in the House. Texas is a big gun-carrying state. How would you have voted? Would you have voted the same way as the congressman?
I think we might have a disagreement on this issue. You know, I have certain concerns that I don't think have been adequately addressed whenever it comes to these universal background checks. But, you know, the important thing is we very much are, in some ways, in an existential fight for the soul of the party and also for the country. We're going to have disagreements about this or that issue, but the important thing is we're on the same side of telling the truth to the American people and moving past where we've been for the past few months especially.
And do you regret voting for Trump in 2020, Michael?
Absolutely. I don't know how you could not, after you've seen what has done to our country, you know, since Election Day and the Capitol was attacked. Of course I regret it.
Okay. Thank you. What an interesting discussion with you both, candidate Michael Wood, Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Really appreciate your time tonight.